Now speak to you, former foreign media spokesperson of the Revolutionary Coalition of Egyptian Women.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. After what we have seen now, it is quite clear why the Revolutionary Coalition of Egyptian Women totally rejects anything to do with the blood presidential so-called elections. This coalition represents the body of Egyptian women who gained the elections 5 times in a row and got the most votes in Egypt. The last elections we got 64% of votes, and we represent all these people in Egypt. And these people have been oppressed, suppressed, and as you see, they have been subjected to all these criminal acts to suppress them. They are not allowed to share in any political activity. They are not allowed to have their say or speak, only through media. And this is how in the Women Anti-Coup Declaration began with thanking the media, which is the only voice that we have for voicing our views. She began with stressing the idea that we here have documented 1,500, the Egyptian, the Women Anti-Coup movement has documented the detention of 1,500 women to date in the last 10 months after the crackdown in Rab'a and the 2 following days. 85 are still detained to date, and the others have been acquitted. We have hundreds of martyrs and injured. 50% of the detainees were detained not from any events or when they were performing any action. They were detained randomly from the street because of their Islamic appearance, and this is racism, which Egyptian women and Egyptian majority women, the majority who represent the majority, the elected, the true legitimate elected majority, they are subjected now to being racially taken from the streets and politically detained. They are taken from their homes, they are taken from work. None of them were actually taken while performing any act in the street or from any event. 50% of the detainees are as thus. In 20 cases, we witnessed that the sentences vary from 6 months to 11 years, with a total of 169 years imprisonment. 5 cases are still awaiting verdict. The latest case was yesterday, Wednesday, the 21st of May, in which the Mansoura girls took 10 years amongst them, 6 years for Yusra, 2 for Minna, and 2 for Abrar. If we come to the fines and the bails, they are exaggerated. They are put to pressure the legitimate, the representatives of the legitimate rulers of Egypt. They vary from 100 Egyptian pounds in bail for each detainee. We have documented 700,000 pounds bails and fines have been taken in the past 10 months from the pro-democracy fighters. For example, Maria Samaha, a 14-year-old girl, was sentenced to prison, and she got bail on £2,000 and a fine of £20,000. And this is a 14-year-old girl, an underage 14-year-old girl. Now, the underage, we have about 200 underage young girls who were detained. Most of them have been acquitted, but tens are still behind bars. We also have tens of detainees from 40 to 60 years old, like Samia Shannon from Kurdesa, and we've seen people speaking about her on the video right now. She has been tortured and psychologically and physically tortured. And she's an old age person, and she's above 60. These detainees are systematically beaten, abused, and subjected to disgraceful, stripped-down inspections and sexual abuse. We saw a lot of them, and we saw a lot of girls speaking about that now. Tens were subjected to illegal virginity and pregnancy tests. Many female journalists were also killed and sniped down, like Habiba on the day of Rab'a, and Mayada Ashraf on the 28th of March while doing their work, covering the demonstrations. Journalists have also been detained and imprisoned, like Samah, the Freedom and Justice journalist, who is subjected to very oppressive torture in prison, which has greatly affected her psychologically. She has been sentenced to 6 months imprisonment and £50,000 fine. She was taken on while covering the 14th January blood constitution. Statistics reveal that 100 women martyrs since the coup have died while defending their right to democracy and vote. During Rab'a and Nahda, the eldest being Hagga Zainab, an 83-year-old who was killed with a live bullet while attending peaceful demonstrations in Alexandria, and the youngest being Ayas Sayyid, who was killed in Sinai while pulling down her home, a 5-year-old girl. We also have strong documentation of infantile killings during Rab'a, which have not been documented and are in the process of being documented.